brief understanding of what literature review is, we must now understand its role or the purpose for which we undertake this literature review. See, simply, we are reviewing the literature to tell people and also to imbibe ourselves that how important our study and our research is on the academic or research map. Where do we put our work on the academic map? We need to understand and also communicate that what is the importance of our study. Where would it fit into the big jigsaw puzzle? Yes, I call it a jigsaw puzzle. The entire research which is being done in your search is like a puzzle, and what each researcher is contributing are simply small pieces. In order to understand, and for that matter to make sense, we need to understand the entire puzzle and where then our piece would fit in. So literature review serves many purposes. I will try to put them one by one. First of all, as I say, we want to make sure that we are not reinventing the wheel. What has already been done would not make sense to the reading audience, to the researchers otherwise, or even to those who are analyzing your work. So to avoid reinventing the wheel, we try to ensure that we have understood the past, what was the gap which was left, and that is why we are working towards the furtherance of the discipline. So first, not reinventing the wheel, and that is why we do literature review. How your current work is situated within, or how it builds on or departs from earlier publications is also another purpose of literature review. How is this work going to explain what has already been explained, and what was left, how this work would contribute to the earlier publications? For that we need to literature review. To demonstrate the credibility of the writer, you as a researcher, you need to tell the readers that you have seen, you have understood what was being done in the past. You are on the track, and only then you can run the race. So to demonstrate your seriousness as a researcher, to find and put a place for yourself on the research landscape, you need to review the literature, and that too thoroughly. To build a firm foundation for advancing knowledge. This literature review, as I told, it builds a foundation. It is actually like you are going to work in this area for many, many years to come. So in order to understand, in order to go on with this research, you need to understand what others have done, and now when the baton comes to you, where will you take it? So that becomes the purpose of literature review. What needs to be done to solve the research problems? Some problems which were solved successfully, some problems where we could not find an answer in the past literature, we look out for them. So in order to find out where, how we can take this problem for a better solution, we do the literature review. It is this literature review which creates a background, which creates a scope and defines the scope for your research. Generally, when we are doing research, we generally include a section of scope of research. To define, to redefine, to limit your research, you need to have a scope. And this scope does not come from anywhere or from the skies. It very much comes from the past. It is this past which will tell you that where you can take this particular idea. Also, it is this literature review which tells you what are the important concepts, what are the important theories, what have been the methodologies. So what are the concepts, what is the theory, what are the methodologies, what have been the limitations? Can we as new researchers contribute to expand those limitations, to find a solution to those things? So we do the literature review in order to find the research gap. Most people, most guides, most mentors always explain their students that do the literature review to find out the gaps. Why is this gap important? It is important because we are not going to do what others have already done. We are going to do what others have done, or they could not complete fully. They left some areas. They found some problems to which they had no solution. So in order to make sense, to make actually a sensible research, we do this literature review. For the intellectual progression in your field, how the work has traveled over the years. Like for example, I say that in the field of medicine they say, if it is say cure for cancer, over the years how it has evolved. To have an understanding of this, you need to know what has been done in the past. So to set the ball or take the ball rolling, we need to understand the past work done in the field. And that is how the literature review sets the ball rolling and lets us find the future course and defines the paradigms of our research. To find the finer nuances of our research work, we do this literature review. Now, it sounds there is so much to be done in this, and it calls for skills. So I put it like this: what are the skills required to do literature review? It is not that we would need the intelligentsia of the country to put together a review on any subject. A simple human being with an urge to learn, with an urge to search, with an urge to find out would go in for a successful literature review if he has the skills to ideate, to think on different lines from the given literature. He needs to have that critical eye, critical skills, so that he can not just review the literature but also make sense out of it. He needs to be analytical. Analytical because I say that literature is simply not a summary of past work. It is a critique, it is a synthesization, it is an integration, and so we need these skills of critical analysis and analytical thinking. You need to be a good reader. You may not have the habit of reading, but if you dedicate yourself to your area, and in this dedication you go through the literature, read carefully the literature, you will be in a position to have a draft, a blueprint of your research with you. It also calls for good, effective writing skills. Effective writing is what would ultimately make sense in your research. So be it thinking, be it ideating, be it reading, be it analyzing, and then effective writing. All of this put together, nobody can stop the ultimate product of a good and exhaustive and a comprehensive review of literature, which will then be a success to your research.